Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. 500 and 1000 Krónur from Iceland, year of issue 1974, commemorates the 1100th anniversary of the founding of the first Scandinavian settlement on Iceland. According to the Icelandic Book of Settlements, knowledge about Iceland was already known as early as the 8th century when the most venerable priest, Bede the Anchorite, where Anchorite means hermit, spoke about an island named Tili. The island where the day wouldn't come in the winter, nor night wouldn't come in the summer when the days were at their longest. It was thought to be approximately 6 days sailing to the north of Great Britain. Bede the Priest was born around 673 AD and died on the 26th of May 735 AD. His mentioning of Iceland is one of the earliest references in regards to Iceland before it was colonized by men of the north, and from that point on found its way into the annals of history. The Icelandic manuscript Landnámabók, or the foundation thereof, was started by Ari the Learned, who was born in 1067 AD, and he was the descendant of noble lineage. It stated that he was the great-grandson of Gudrun, who features in the Icelandic Edda saga as part of the tragic love story with Sigurd. Long love story short, Sigurd is a hero who defeats a dragon called Fafnir. He bathes in his blood and his skin becomes impenetrable, except for one spot on his back, sort of like the famed heel of Achilles. Sigurd wakes up the shield maiden Brunhild from her sleep, who was stung with the sleeping thorn by Odin, and he frees her from her chainmail. Brunhild is a beautiful Valkyrie who has vowed to only marry a man with outstanding moral qualities, of decent lineage, and who is worthy enough to overcome her challenges, one of which is a barrier of flames surrounding her court. There is a romantic connection between the two, and depending on which source the story varies a bit at this point, we're taking the path where they promise to marry each other as soon as he returns from going to the king, and as a sign of this, he gives her a ring, but that ring is cursed, only they don't know it. When at the royal court, Gudrun, who is the daughter of the king, comes to like Sigurd, our hero. Gudrun also has 3 brothers, one of which is called Gunnar, and Gunnar wants to marry Brunhild, but she is already in love and betrothed to the hero Sigurd. So Queen Grimhild, who is the mother of Gudrun, gives a potion to Sigurd, making him forget about Brunhild and the promise that he made to her. Gudrun and Sigurd marry, they become blood brothers, and he promises to help his new brother Gunnar marry Brunhild, who is still protected by her barrier that only Sigurd can cross. Sigurd and Gunnar exchange appearances so that the barrier is crossed by what Brunhild believes to be Gunnar, but is actually Sigurd. Sigurd, in the form of Gunnar, sleeps with Brunhild. He takes the ring from Brunhild that he had given to her when they first met and exchanged their vows to each other. Because of Gunnar, but actually Sigurd, overcoming the challenges and a flame shield wall of Brunhild, and the fact that Gudrun and Sigurd had married, she decides to marry Gunnar instead. The ring also is given to Gudrun by Sigurd. Later on, Gudrun and Brunhild later meet near a stream when they want to wash their hairs, and a quarrel ensues about their status. Brunhild mocks Gudrun for the fact that her husband Gunnar is more of a hero than Sigurd, who, although having killed a dragon, wasn't brave enough to overcome the wall of fire. Gudrun then shows the ring that Sigurd took from Brunhild, and Brunhild then thinks that Sigurd betrayed her, although Sigurd is innocent because of third parties messing and tricking him. Brunhild encourages Gunnar to kill Sigurd, but he doesn't want to, so another brother kills Sigurd, stabbing him in the back at the weak spot. Sigurd dies but manages to take his attacker with him to the afterlife. After that, Brunhild commits suicide, and Gudrun mourns the death of Sigurd for years. Gudrun receives a forget potion from her queen mother, and she marries the brother of Brunhild, named Atli. After some years, Atli murders the remaining brothers of Gudrun as vengeance for his sister Brunhild. Gudrun in turn kills Atli, and when she wants to commit suicide by drowning in a river, she eventually ends up in a kingdom that is ruled by Jonak, whom she marries. Svanhild, who is a daughter of Gudrun and Sigurd, is put to death by the god king Jormunrek the Great on charges of adultery. Gudrun, together with her sons Hamdir and Surli, in the end take vengeance for Svanhild, but end up losing their lives themselves. And that is the tragic story of Gudrun, whom Ari the Learned is rumored to be a great-grandson of. He is, by the way, responsible for 3 noticeable Icelandic manuscripts. The first one is the Koning Book, or the Book of Kings, the Landnama Book, or the Book of Settlements, and the Icelandic Book, or the Book of Icelanders. Although Landnama Book is generally translated as Book of Settlements to make it more definable in modern English, the literal English translation would be a Land Take Book. It describes the period from the moment of discovery, how the land looked like, a subsequent colonization by Northmen and their serfs or slaves, historical events, how the legislative system was organized, and the branches of some family lines. The first Northman to have been credited with discovering Iceland was Naddodd the Viking, while on the way to the Faroe Islands, but having drifted, of course, stumbled instead onto Iceland. He went ashore with his men, climbed the top of a high mountain, and scouted the land for any signs of human habitation, like smoke rising from chimneys, but couldn't find any other persons for miles around. While they were leaving Iceland and sailing towards the Faroe Islands, large portions of snow fell upon the land, covering the mountains, and Naddodd and his men decided to name this newly found land Snæland, or Snowland. The second Scandinavian to visit Iceland in 870 AD was Gardar Svafarsson. Whilst traveling to the Hebrides, he hit a storm and was blown far north to find the coast of Iceland. His mother, who was a seer, already prepared him for such a possible event, and thus he began to explore it. He discovered that the newly found land was actually an island by circumnavigating it. A dwelling was built in Skjalfandi Bay, which is in the north of Iceland, and he spent the winter there. When spring came and Gardar wanted to sail back, a boat drifted off with 3 persons in it. Natfari, a member of the crew, an unnamed thrall or slave, usually of Gaelic or Celtic origin, and an unnamed ambat or a bondswoman. They made their abode called Natfarik in a cove near Skjalfandi Bay, where the town of Húsavík would later develop. And in this manner they can be regarded as the first permanent Scandinavian residents of Iceland. The third Scandinavian explorer, Flóki Filgertsson, took 3 ravens with him aboard, and the third raven he set loose went straight to Iceland. The character of Flóki is portrayed in the History Channel Viking series, and the event of his exploration was introduced in season 5. In the series, a scene is shown where Flóki finds a Christian cross in a cave, and the written medieval records indeed state that items such as books, bells, crosses were found by the early Scandinavian explorers that were left by the Pepar, or otherwise also known as Christian monks. They had come from the west, believed to be Ireland or Scotland. Records of archaeological surveys show that the earliest found forms of habitation go back as far as the late 8th century. After Flóki's venture, another exploration was made by Björnolf, who spent a winter in Iceland before returning to Norway. In 874 AD, 2 expeditions set out from Norway, one under the leadership of Ingolf Arnarsson, and the other under the leadership of his foster brother Horleif with a sword, who had acquired great wealth and slaves by raiding Ireland. The latter only didn't make sacrifice to the god as thanks and praise, while Ingolf Arnarsson instead did thank the gods and consulted them by making offerings. Ingolf Arnarsson landed on Iceland at what is known as Ingolf's Head, and his foster brother Leif was carried further west because of the weather and the ocean, where he eventually also made landfall on Iceland. During the early days of their stay, the slaves organized a coup to kill their Norse overlords by killing an ox, saying that a bear was responsible, and while on a hunt for this bear, the slaves, who were more numerous than the Norwegians, would individually kill them. The slave managed killing Horleif and all other Norwegian males in that party. They took their wives, cattle, supplies and boats and sailed to islands to the southwest, leaving the party of Ingolf Arnarsson left as the only party to settle Iceland. It's important to note that this period of settlement of Iceland aligned with the so-called medieval warm period. It started around 950 AD, and lasted for almost 300 years. In such a way, Iceland would have been more attractive to settle as there was more arable land, forest and a milder climate. Other Scandinavians followed soon in the footsteps of Ingolf Arnarsson, emigrating and settling in the new land of Iceland. It's been said that this immigration wave was the result of the actions of King Harald, who had unified Norway under one crown, and that a fair number of people were trying to flee Norway or other parts from Scandinavia as a result of him ruling as the one king over the whole of Norway. But there's still some controversy about that theory. The composition of the 500 and 1000 kronur is sterling silver, so that's 0.925. This means that the 500 kronur with a total weight of 20 gram holds 18.5 actual gram of silver in it. With today's spot price, the melt value would be around the $16.25. 1000 kronur with a total weight of 30 grams hold 27.75 grams of actual silver. The melt value of this coin today would be around the $24.5 US dollar. In this 1974 series, also a 10,000 kronur denomination was made, and this one is made of 90% gold. The 500 and 1000 kronur in this presentation concerns the regular variants, which are both minted in a quantity of 70,000 pieces. On the obverse of both coins we see the four spirits of the land depicted. These are Gria Ungur the bull, Gamur the eagle, Dreki the dragon, and Bergerise the giant. In that sense, the same religious meaning follows other patterns around the world. On the reverse of the 500 kronur we see a woman plowing the fields in a new colony, and on the 1000 kronur we see two men or Vikings looking at a geyser, which Iceland is famous for. The numismatic value of the 500 kronur starts at around the $20 US dollars, and for the 1000 kroners it starts at about $25, so that's a bit above the melt value. Okay, that's it for this video for the 500 and 1000 kronur from Iceland. Hope you've enjoyed the show. Consider subscribing if you haven't done already, and wishing you a pleasant week. Take care.